ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Today is Friday, and I am here on my weekly real estate show to share some golden nuggets, some great information that I came about this week as I get questions continuously as to how the market is performing, what are we kind of expecting. And I thought today I'd come in and share a few thoughts with you guys about what's happening in the market, what all of this pandemic it's been doing to a lot of the things in the economy, which are obviously concerning to a lot of people in the United States and around the world. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is the housing market and how it's, it's been or not affected by the pandemic. So definitely we have seen some things affected by it in the housing market. And one of the first things that I think about when I think of what's going on now, it takes me automatically back to 2008, which was the last housing crisis that I remember. And back then I was still working real estate. I was selling brand new homes for a builder. And I remember that, back then there were a lot of things that were wrong with the market. Back in 06, 07, and even prior to that, there were a lot of subprime mortgages that were given to people that didn't really qualified for those mortgages. And as a result of that, there happened to be a whole lot of people walking away from those homes, which was a sad thing to see because obviously who would want to do that? Who would want to leave their home? Considering it's one of the safest places we all have now personally witnessed, they're all telling us go home. That's the safest place. So back then they were actually leaving their homes in 08 because they couldn't afford those mortgages. And the reason why is because there were mortgages given to people that they didn't quite qualify. So that was very much a housing crisis because there was something very wrong with the real estate market. Now, what's some of the same but different now is obviously we're still in a crisis here. In 2020, however, it's a different kind of crisis. There's nothing wrong with the market, or there wasn't anything wrong with the market when this pandemic hit in 2020, or early part of 2020. So those are some of the main differences. And the main thing that I wanted to share with you guys is a real eye opener. So let me just go ahead and bring this up to the screen. Can you guys see that? I hope you can. By the way, if you're watching me, please be sure to say hello. Put your comments on the comments section, and I'm able to bring those up. I'd love for this to be interactive rather than just me being a talking head. I do have some stuff to share with you guys, some stuff to show you, and I'd love to make this interactive. So if you could just go ahead and say hello, let me know what part of the country you might be listening to me from, or if you're even outside the United States. I know I have family and friends that might be watching me from abroad. So today's topic is the home equity in the United States. It's the bright spark in the housing market. And like I was mentioning earlier, there's a lot of things that have taken me back to 2008 as I think about the crisis in the market. But this is a very different kind of crisis, as I was saying. Back then in 2008, people were walking away from their homes. I am absolutely certain that that's not going to happen during this crisis. It's a very completely different type of crisis. It's not a housing market crisis. It's a health crisis. And it's not anything that's specifically to the United States. It's a global crisis. It's a global health crisis that's affected a lot of the markets, not just real estate. But as it relates to real estate, I'm very optimistic. I'm about to show you guys why. The percentage of home equity in this country is extremely high, probably higher than most people think. And I'm about to share this with you guys. This is a real eye opener. As we look at the country as a whole, not just the state of Florida, which is where I'm personally licensed in and I live and work in Florida. But if we look at the whole United States, the percentage of home ownership and home equity ownership, I should say, in 2020, it's quite significant. Okay, let's talk about this for a minute. You have 42% of the homes in the United States, 42.1% to be exact, are completely owned outright. There are no mortgages in 42% of the homes in the United States. That's pretty significant, guys. To know that so many people own those homes without having any debt to them whatsoever. That tells me that we're going to be okay. Now, if you follow that on the graph, then you also see that 16.6% of the homes in the United States have 60 to 99% equity. So that's still very significant. Then we also have, as you can see, you can follow that graph, but we also have 12.5% of the homes in the United States have 41 to 60% equity. 15.4% have 21 to 40% equity, right? And then 6.1 have 11 to 20% equity, and 7% have less than 10% equity. So there's a lot of people holding a lot of equity in their homes. It's very different than the crisis that we had in 2008. In 2008, people were walking away from their homes because they didn't have the money to pay for those mortgages or any equity in them, where now you have people that have equity in their homes. So no one's walking away from that equity. I feel very optimistic that this is a very different kind of crisis that we had in 2008. And even though the real estate market might get affected a little bit by it, we're still fundamentally strong. And that's going to be something that that's going to help us get through this. Now, the second graph that I wanted to share with you guys is all of the homes in America have at least 60% equity. Okay, that's huge, guys. Again, just that position of ownership. And if you are not familiar with that term, equity is basically the percentage that you own on your home outright without having any mortgages or any liens to it. So if you own so much of your home, you're going to be more attached to making sure that those payments are made on time, that the property is going to be well kept because you're heavily vested in it. So that's significant. 58.7% of all the homes in America have at least 60% equity. That's pretty significant. And then Americans are still sitting on tremendous equity. So 42% of the homes, 42% of all the homes in the United States are owned free and clear. And the average equity of the homes that currently have a mortgage on it, the average in the whole United States is 177,000. So I feel very optimistic about that. I feel that, there are people that still would need to buy real estate in whatever market we're in. There's still people that are going to need to, upsize because maybe they have a child on the way, or maybe they're merging families that are looking for something bigger. That's always going to be a need. Then you're also going to have people that are going to be retiring that might be looking to, buy a smaller place. So there's always going to be a need to move. I don't think that that's ever going to change, and that's something that's going to keep this real estate market very strong. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that you found that interesting. I thought that was an interesting fact, so I wanted to bring that to you today. And with that said, let me just check the comments section and see if there's anything in there. Okay, well, I just wanted to pop in here, do my weekly thing, share with you guys some golden nuggets. I thought it was interesting that a lot of people have so much equity, and that does give me a whole lot of confidence into what we can expect from the market moving forward. So I appreciate you guys watching it one more time real quickly. If you are watching me on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate that. If you could share this with anyone that would be interested in the topic of real estate, I will also greatly appreciate it. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, please remember to be kind to one another, take good care of yourself, and keep watching. I'll be here again next Friday at 10 a.m. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. And the broadcast.